American Sign Language, also known as ASL, is used by millions of people across the country. Deaf people continue to face stigmatization of being disabled, handicapped, or hearing impaired, when in fact deafness is not at all any of these things. Deaf people have their own language that they use in their normal, everyday life. The native language of deaf people is ASL. It is their primary and most comfortable form of communication. If they are able to use any form of spoken language, it is only to supplement their communication with the hearing people. In Deaf Out Loud, Manny says that home is where an individual should be most comfortable, and ASL is the most comfortable language for deaf people to use. It is their native language. And once they're comfortable with using their native language, they can have really intense and deep connections with people, creating bonds that last forever. In the film Born This Way, Deaf Out Loud, April was using simultaneous interpretation when she was interpreting for a patient, Paco, who later became her husband. Simultaneous interpretation is usually used by sign language interpreters who are interpreting spoken language for someone who is deaf or vice versa. Deaf people who get cochlear implants and choose to learn and use both sign language and spoken language can become polyglots. They can use code switching when speaking with deaf and hearing people, or code mixing when communicating with similar people who are also bilingual, in both spoken language and sign language. In Sound and Fury, 6 years later, Heather's father says that her and her siblings use both sign language and spoken language with each other as well as with the neighbors' kids. They all become polyglots once they get cochlear implants. So how does all of this relate to my field? In my career as a speech-language pathologist, I may encounter a patient who is learning a spoken language after getting a cochlear implant. In a case like this, it's important for me as a speech-language pathologist to be aware and educated on the challenges and struggles that those individuals have in order for me to provide the best therapy for them and be sensitive to their personal needs.